back. Pusong Pinoy, angkong ko, Series 4. Sponsor back. Already.
Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa World Remit. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ha? Ay, lagot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from World Remit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Hi, my name's Jane Walker. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Purple Community Fund. We work with some of the poorest children and families in the Philippines. We run an integrated service plan from education, health, nutrition, social intervention, livelihood workshops, right the way through to business startups. And our goal is really to see as many Filipino families as we possibly can help to have a better and more sustainable and safe life. I have this great pleasure of welcoming you to Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. And I've known Malcolm for a very long time, and he has been a massive supporter of the Purple Community Fund. In fact, Malcolm's been a massive supporter of pretty much everything Filipino. His drive, his passion and his energy is just absolutely admirable. He is a voice for the Filipino community in Britain. He supports all up-and-coming bands and charities that are doing work in the Philippines, and I know you are going to really enjoy this show.
Hi guys, welcome to Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. It really is great to be back. This is the 4th episode of my 4th series. We've done nearly 20 episodes so far where we've been able to engage with the Filipino community and bring you information about the latest happenings, the latest organizations, some personalities, and of course we still are with you right up until December. You know, it's an absolute honor and privilege to have Jane Walker, who's the CEO of the Purple Community Fund and the Upskills Plus Foundation, which is a registered charity in the Philippines. Jane does some incredible work, and we're going to spend the next 40 minutes or so talking about that fantastic work that she does to help people in the Philippines. So, hi, Jane, it's over to you.
Hi. Well, thank you so much for inviting me on your program. Just really pleased to be here, and of course love everything Filipino. So PCF, Purple Community Fund, is a UK registered charity, and we registered in the UK so that we could be able to get gift aid from taxpayers and enables us to raise money here. But we also registered our charity in the Philippines, which is called Upskills Plus Foundation, and that's registered with SEC as well. So I'm the shared CEO between both the two charities, and we raise money in the UK, but we also provide managerial support as well for Upskills. And Upskills is the implementing charity that's really running all the projects. They're the one doing all the hard work because they're really on the ground every day.
I think that's really important as well, that we're not just sending money with nothing much happening. You know, there's always been criticisms of charity, isn't there, that you're just throwing food at them and they're not doing anything for themselves. But actually, I think what's fantastic about your work in the Philippines is you're equipping people for the tools to be self-sufficient. You're doing this ring pull thing where people can make bags, they can sell products to raise money as well. And I think that's so important. And also, I believe people don't just want handouts from charity. People want to be able to do something for themselves to improve their lives and their situation. I'm sure you'd agree, Jane, that's really the way forward.
Oh, most definitely. I mean, there's no way that we want anybody dependent on us, because that puts them in a very unstable position. So we've always, right from the word go, when we start a program, we involve the community. So first of all, we get their permission. Is this something that they want? Is this a program that would be helpful for them? So, for instance, when since the pandemic has started, we know that the biggest issue is access to health and access to food. And we've been providing emergency food packs right from day one. And we'll continue to do that as long as we have funds to do that and as long as there is a need. But it does mean that people become very dependent on us. So we talk to the community and we ask them if we could get trainers in to teach Department of Agriculture to come in and teach how to grow vegetables and teach us how to make our own homemade fertilizers. Is that something the community wanted? And they all said it was, and many of them, just said they just don't have the funds to buy seeds, or they don't have the technical know-how. So we were able to provide all that training and been really, really busy setting up families now to grow their own vegetables. But it's been such a brilliant project because not only are people being able to grow their own vegetables and their own fruits, but it also is really helping with any mental health issues and the challenges, I think, of the lockdown in the Philippines is really tough. It's 250 odd days now of being in a lockdown situation. That's an awfully long time. And growing vegetables just helps families just get outside a little bit, and just helps that. It's such a good feeling to grow. I'm an avid grower of anything. So I've got house plants. It looks like a jungle in my flat, and so I know it helps a lot. So we've been really happy with that. But you're exactly right, Malcolm. We never go for dependency. We always want people to find their own feet, and actually they don't want to rely on us either. I mean, they really do want to find their own way, and they just need a helping hand. That's really all it is.
Well, it's about peace of mind as well, isn't it? I know people want to be able to do things for themselves to improve their own situation, as we both know, because we've both been to the Philippines many, many times. The Filipino people are incredibly resourceful. I remember going to Manila and some big guy would be standing in the middle of a busy highway, tapping the car to park your car and then getting a few pesos. And that's the thing. But of course, all of these odd jobs, if you like, all of these things that the economy relied on. For example, somebody, I don't know, directing people to the nearest taxi, getting a taxi for them in the street, all of the gig economy, if you like, even including people traveling on buses, and people would sell their goods or ply the bus routes. Many of these things have been taken away. How big of a problem is it, and what can you see will happen in the future?
Well, we have a rapid pass for our vehicles, so we're able to go around the town and just pick up donations of food and things like that. And our driver's been sending us back photographs of people on the roadside with placards asking for donations of food or asking for money. I mean, we've always seen people that are on, maybe blind people and children that would sometimes do this on the street, but never quite the way that it is now. And I think really the biggest issue is really all around food. Families are not able to find work for themselves. I mean, our families in particular, because they really rely on the city's waste as a way of generating an income. And that waste has dropped, considerably. There is not as much waste coming into the city as it was before, because so many businesses are not open. And although the dump site closed in 2018, still that waste comes into their residential area. So there's been a loss. And of course, restaurants are closed, or some are open, but they haven't got the same footfall that they used to have. And some of the community have been going to the fast food restaurants, and they have been collecting the leftovers from customers' plates and then kind of cycling that into a meal. And it's more commonly known as Pagpag. But with restaurants closed, that's also been a challenge for them. That source of food has gone. And I think the community really are relying very heavily at the moment on NGOs to provide support. We started business training and business startup loans. We've always done it. We've always provided it for our livelihood workers because they work in our workshop, and then we set them up in a supplementary business as well with their savings. So we just adapted this idea, and so far by the end of this year we'll hope to have 300 families set up in they're running their own businesses, and they're all paying back the loans like very, very well. And they're all earning. They're not earning lots of money. They're not, maybe the most they'll be earning is about 500 a day. But it's enough to get them the money that they need to buy their food and pay some electric bills. And, as much funds as we have, we will set up more families in business. It's more just a case of not having the resources there to do that. But it's been a really, really successful program. And of course, as soon as those families are earning their own money, they don't need our food packs. And that means that we can just go and help other families. You've got families that are single parent families who really can't work. There are the elderly, the senior citizens, the disabled, and those that are ill, and they're really going to need long-term support. So if we can get a family independent and set up on their own, it just enables us to help those that really, really can't work until a better system comes in.
I know we'll cover the issue of Pagpag later on after the break, because I want to really focus on that. But also, I just want to make the point, as we both know, that the government has been doing this social amelioration program, if you like, at the moment, where they've raised two sums of money, or at least they've passed on two sums of money. I believe the first one might have been $100. But the thing is, they may have this fantastic idea at the top, but as we both know, sadly, when it comes down to the grassroots level, sometimes it's the local community identifying who they consider to be poor, who they consider to be most in need. So in fact, the government has now said there should be a list of people who qualify for the assistance on the barangay hall, so it's not all secretive. And I know, sadly, there's some people who are actually going to be prosecuted. Some mayors have been suspended. So I know this is a real issue, and I don't think the government also has unlimited resources. If you think about it, there's 110 million Filipinos in the Philippines, and if everyone got a payment of £100, that's a lot of money for any country in the world. So it's a really much bigger issue. It's not that we're criticizing the government at all, but what we're saying is it does take everybody. It does take private organizations. It does take charities. It's a really, really massive issue. And for people who say the government need to give more money, I don't think that's practical. There is some corruption at the lower levels, and that's one of the issues.
Yeah, most definitely. And also, another issue is that not all of the barangays are up to date with their community. So I know, for instance, in one of our communities, the census hasn't been taken for 2 years. Well, that's an awful lot of new people moving into that community and babies being born and situations changing that the barangay might not always be aware of. And I think this is why government and NGOs really need to work hand in hand together, because we need heroes to help us pick up that shortfall that the government wouldn't really be able to know who they were. But grassroots charities like ourselves that are on the ground, we know who those people will be and will be able to make those differences. But yeah, I mean, the government's in a very, as all of our governments are, they're in a very difficult position. But the biggest issue, I think, is that there aren't food banks set up in the Philippines. The DSWD do give a system under the 4P. So they do give some social security benefits to needy families. But again, that list is not concise. So there are always families that are kind of dropping out under the radar. And I think as well, giving $100, it's not going to last very long. And that's also, so we really have to find more sustainable ways, because we don't know how long this lockdown is going to be here. Will it be here for 2021? which case then we need to be looking at longer term plans for the community.
We were talking before about Pagpag, and we know this is both an issue. This is not only being covered by the international press, and sometimes unfavorably as well, like they might focus on the maggots going along the piles of food, and that sometimes gives the country a bad name. But just to get to grips with the issue, as we've both explained, the issue is really that when a restaurant, for example, a takeaway, would finish their food at the end of the day, people would leave their food, throw it in the bin. Basically, this food then gets taken to a recycling plant or a dump plant, if you like. And basically, people then scavenge that food. So, for example, if you're going to eat your KFC and you eat some chicken and you leave that piece of chicken, then unfortunately that chicken then is going to find its way to a bin somewhere. It's then going to be recooked, it's going to be bleached. Don't get me wrong, the Pagpag business, most of the Pagpag sellers are actually properly cleaning the food and bleaching the food, or but whichever way you look at it, it is recycled food, i.e. it's the food that people don't want. And I wrote an open letter recently, and I know you're very much on board with this, Jane, in that what we have in the UK is a system whereby every restaurant, it's more like a social function rather than a legal requirement, but maybe it should be a legal requirement in the Philippines. At the end of each day, every restaurant, whatever food they have left that they can't sell, instead of throwing it in a bin, it's being collected by whatever organization and then taken to a central point and then redistributed. And I think that's what we want. So people are saying it's still secondhand food. No, it's not. For example, if you have a buffet in a restaurant, at the end of the day, all of those bowls of food are going to be thrown away anyway. Why not then donate them? So this is not something somebody else has spat out. This is food that basically is left over and then can be given to somebody through redistribution. And this is something I think, I know what we both agree with. And I think that we're actually trying to work on, i.e. we're writing to the mayors, to the congressmen, and this is something that we want to bring forward. And I know that's the case, Jane.
Yeah, I mean, we have approached hotels in the past to go through that system, and they've been very, very nervous to do it because of the potential repercussions to them if somebody gets sick with the food. So we got our lawyer to produce like a waiver that basically said that we will take full responsibility, and that after the food leaves the hotel, then it's no longer the responsibility of the hotel. So I think as long as NGOs are willing to do that and they have a satisfactory way of moving the food, I mean, not everybody's going to have refrigerated vehicles, but we do have great ice boxes. And if you're doing short journeys, then, there are ways of keeping that food safe. And we were able to do that from one of the local colleges to get the vegetables after the students were being trained how to cut and prepare the vegetables. So we were able to get some donations like that. So it's not a completely new idea. It just needs a bit of some politicians behind it to say, look, this needs to happen. Because I think as soon as they can give their stamp of approval on it, then it opens up the door for lots of NGOs then and organizations to go then and start approaching people, knowing that actually it is safe for us to do that. And as well, you've got the canned food manufacturers, and of course their food sometimes will only have maybe 1 or 2 months in it. And we'd also like to be able to access that. And again, they had the same concerns, really worried that their food that was going to go out of date was going to find its way back out on the open market, and out of date food would be sold. So I think these manufacturing companies, they just need reassurance that the government's behind it. And if there was some legislation to say that it could happen, that would make all the difference. So yeah, I mean, your letter is, fantastic. And, we want to try and, support that as much as we possibly can, because if ever there was a time for change, it's definitely now.
Thank you so much, Jane. Thank you. That's amazing. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
Mas masaya at mas exciting ang Pasko with World Remit's TFCX Kapamilya Meetup. Just send money and get a chance to win an exclusive celebrity chat this November. Makipagchikahan, tawanan at kwentuhan with your favorite Kapamilya stars. May surprise guests and prizes pa na siguradong magpapangiti sa'yo. Sa regalong padala, may regalong kasiyahan. Visit the World Remit microsite for more details.
Every day in Upskills is a challenge day for us. It is this challenge that inspires and motivates us to do more and to do better for the good of the people we serve. We have different programs. We have the health and nutrition, we have the community education and mentoring program, and social services. I can say that all our programs and services really helps the people in the community, especially this time of pandemic. So I really want to thank all our donors, our supporters, who are generously helping us and supporting our programs and services. Without you, we will not be able to do this. So I really thank all of you, our donors and supporters. Thank you so much. Your help goes a long, long way. You are changing the lives of the people. Thank you so much. God bless you all.
Thanks so much for watching Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlon. I'd like at this point as well to thank World Remit as well for your incredible sponsorship. If you guys sending money back home to the Philippines next time, please contact World Remit. Please go through their app and send money. And also, if you send money as well right now, you can actually have the chance to basically have a Zoom meeting with your favorite Capamilia artists. I think there's a 4 chances to be able to win that amazing prize. I wanted to basically thank World Remit as well for working with us in some ways to support PCF, and you know, I'm sure that's good news to Jane's ears. Go ahead, Jane.
Hi, yes, thank you so much for we're looking for new heroes and angels, so really, really happy to hear that, especially as we're approaching Christmas time. I mean, it's such a wonderful time of year for most of us. We all look forward to it so much. But for those that are living in poverty, it can be a real challenge for them. And we're really looking for donations now so that we can provide Noche Buena packs for the families over the Christmas period. So if there are any connections that anybody has in the Philippines, we would welcome donations in kind of food or toys, because we just love to be able to put that smile on as many families' faces as we can. So yes, thank you, World Remit, for helping.
That's amazing. Just after the break, we saw this amazing lady from the Philippines who thanked everybody for their help and their support. Can you tell me a little bit about her? Who is she, and so on?
Oh, that's Tess. Tess and I have been working together for, maybe about 16 years. It's a really long time. She's a registered nurse. That's what she originally started with me, setting up a clinic. And she just did the most incredible job setting up the clinic. So initially we set the clinic up just so that the children that were in school that needed to miss days from school because their parents didn't have money for medicines could come to the clinic, and our doctor and our nurses could see them. We then later opened that up to the whole community, and then found like 26,000 people were using that clinic. Well, today we're in a very similar situation in that most of the clinics in our areas, I can't speak for every area in the Philippines, but certainly in the areas where we work, most of the doctors and nurses are now working in the hospital. And of course, with 60-year-olds being advised to stay indoors, that also means that a lot of doctors and nurses that were 60 and above have been put, are not in action. But we were really fortunate. Our doctor is actually 60, but she lobbied to get a special permit to be able to provide clinic days for us. And so we have Tess, who's also acting as a nurse, and another nurse as well to run the clinic. But Tess doesn't just stop there, because she looks after all the nutrition. So she was the one that came to me and said, look, is there any way you could find any money to help start a supplementary feeding program just on a daily basis, just for malnourished children and senior citizens, because it's more than our family food packs are providing. So she also does that. She's a real Wonder Woman. She really is. I can't ever sing her praises enough. But her biggest task with us is education. So she coordinates all of our welfare programs, which is the education, which is the health and the nutrition. And she's my angel. I look up to her. I'm inspired by her. And yeah, she's an extremely hardworking woman, but she's been in that community now, for 16 odd years. And, it has very strong connections with the community. So yeah, she's an absolute joy. I wish we could have got her live on the show, because although she's terribly shy, but you would have seen her commitment coming through. She's really lovely.
I know we specifically asked if we could get somebody to join you on the show, and it wasn't possible technically, obviously, because of the internet and everything else. But I'm most grateful that she took the time out. And I know that was a challenge. She had to record it and then take it to an internet cafe and upload it. So I'm very grateful. Just wanted to give a few shout outs because we actually have quite a lot of people watching us, which is fantastic news. We have more than 30 people. We had 45 people at one stage. And I know it's been shared across Facebook to say hi to Ben Pablo, Richard De Los Santos, Rudy Lebrojo, whose daughter Mia is one of the teen star artists. She's in the semi-finals at the moment, and she's really going places. So shout out to them. And of course to Cherry Gwen Dayson. Now, Cherry is the young girl who was in Egypt, and basically she ended up being stateless. So she basically, her father passed away, father was Irish, and basically she ended up having no legal status. But through a social media campaign, she was able to go back home to the Philippines and be reunited with her family through the power of Facebook. And I think that's what's absolutely incredible. Facebook can really change lives, and social media can really change lives for the better. And I'm sure you would agree that Facebook's an amazing tool, and let's use it in a positive way.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it is. And, you know, we've had some very successful campaigns, fundraising campaigns on Facebook. And, you know, people are just really good if they can share that as many times as they can share it. Then, of course, it just like helps the reach go even further. So, yeah, no, we love Facebook as well.
We have some comments as well, and I just read one comment that's quite interesting, and that's from Josefina Cordero. I think the big population affects our economy in the way that the government is having difficulty to support us. Yeah. Yes, I'm not going to go on about religion or the Catholic Church. I'll leave that for this show. But what I will say is I think people in the Philippines, and you'd agree with me, Jane, some people are scared that their kids, you know, they have children to support them in their older age. And of course, they're worried that their children might not make it. So they have large families, often 4 or 5 children and above. But realistically, it's not that they want to have 10 children or whatsoever. It's just that's how life is. It's about education. It's about training. And particularly then in the squatter areas, it becomes a really big problem. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and what the issues are?
Yeah, well, actually, Tess and I were talking about this a couple of months ago because she thinks that we're heading for a baby boom because the reproductive health organization that work in our area are only open 2 mornings a week, and they're only open for existing patients. So if you are already on contraception, you're not able to get it. Family planning, it doesn't have to always involve contraception, but you need to be in a place where you can hear how to stop yourself becoming pregnant. And because those facilities are not open anymore, we can testify to this because one of our teachers is expecting, which is great news. We're excited. And also one of our nurses as well. So it just goes to show that it is difficult for families in that position during this pandemic. So we are expecting a baby boom, and I dare say we will not be the only area in the Philippines that are going to experience that. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge for families. And, you know, when you're caught between what you believe in with your faith and what you can economically manage, you know, that puts families in a real dilemma. And it can sometimes be very difficult for them to make a choice or a decision. And hence very large families appear.
And the old sort of joke that somebody would say, if you're in a family with 3 or 4 children, haven't you got a TV in your house? But realistically, it's actually a more serious problem in the Philippines because literally you have got people crammed into maybe one small house or sleeping in the same room, maybe larger families. And of course, during lockdown, they are pretty much stuck there 24/7. So it's really a real serious issue. And I don't see there's a way of solving it anytime soon, and I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, we're concerned. We are concerned about it because it's only going to make the situation worse for families. And we've been really fortunate. We've been able to get the help from a midwife, and so we now have a midwife coming into our clinic once a week. And I know that she's planning on doing some fairly big advocacy programs in the community, just to help families be aware of what they can do. But also, the birthing clinics. I'm not sure even how accessible the birthing clinics are for families. So we're really hoping that in 2021 we start to see things opening back up again, and families being able to get the help and advice that they need to, just to stay healthy.
I really appreciate that, Jane. I think it's really a very difficult time, and I know you're doing your very best as a charity to try and make it just that little bit easier and to provide that support the best that you can. But of course, you really do need funding. And I know on the Facebook page that I've shared, I know there's a link to the funding as well. Let's take another break.
Super.
Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa World Remit. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ha? Ay, labot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from World Remit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Mas masaya at mas exciting ang Pasko with World Remit's TFCX Kapamilya Meetup. Just send money and get a chance to win an exclusive celebrity chat this November. Makipagtsikahan, tawanan at kwentuhan with your favorite Kapamilya stars. May surprise guests and prizes pa na siguradong magpapangiti sa'yo. Sa regalong padala, may regalong kasiyahan. Visit the World Remit microsite for more details.
Hi, we're Fourth Impact, and hello to all the viewers of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan.
Thank you for always supporting Fourth Impact, and please, you can download our new song, No More.
And all digital platforms.
Yes, and you can follow us on all our social media accounts. Just type Fourth Impact, and everything is verified. So,
Thank you.
God bless everyone. Keep safe.
Thanks so much again for watching Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. Hi, Jane. I just wanted to go ahead and I wanted to read a message from a lady called Mabes Pilata Roquan, and she's put it on my own social media. She said, "This is a good advocacy, but I stopped trusting online fundraisers unless I know very well the people who are behind it. I give donations directly to those who are in need, and my donations reaches those in need 100%. Well, Jane, I can Mabes, I can reassure you that you're very welcome to contact Jane. You can send an email. Jane, can you give us a little bit more information about how this all works, how people can make donations, and can you give a bit of reassurance to Mabes that you don't just do online fundraising? There are other ways that people can help. Can you just address that, please?
Yes, certainly. Well, first of all, almost 100% of our donations go directly to the community because our staff are funded through grant making trusts and foundations. So there's separate funding for salaries, which just is, it's fantastic to be able to get that. And it means that the donation goes. But we raise funds in lots of different ways. I mean, we do raise the funds online, but it's a very small percentage. Most of our fundraising is done through writing to grant making trusts and foundations. And of course, their funding is restricted, and we have to provide, audited set of accounts, to prove that funding was actually gone there. But we have a couple of fundraising groups in the Philippines, which are amazing because they then raise donations in kind for us, and we always encourage that to people if they're a little bit nervous about giving money, which we understand if you don't know the charity very well, or you haven't been to visit us, then making a donation in kind is a really good way, because then we can also substantiate that with photographs that have gone directly, to the community. But what we really like to do is we like to give in a very sensible way. We don't just keep doing handouts all the time, because it isn't work. We assess every family and make sure that their needs are really paramount for the help. And that, I think, is where giving funds directly to grassroots NGOs is really the main benefit, is because we have that first-hand knowledge. I'm also a little bit uncomfortable about giving to very large charities. I always advocate giving to grassroots, because grassroots don't have the overheads anywhere near the overheads. We might not be as good as them when it comes to marketing and making videos, but certainly when it comes to getting money directly to the people that it's needed, that is, that's just guaranteed with grassroots charities. So, I understand her concerns, but I think it's always good to say to people, if you have concerns or you want to donate to a charity, get to know the charity first, do some research on them, do some research on the founder, do some research on the CEO. There should be plenty of things about them on Google if they are, bona fide.
I think that's the point as well, Jane, isn't it? You've really taken the time, and I'm most grateful. You've taken the time to appear on my show. I've known you for a very long time, probably more than 2 decades. I remember, of course, but people may not all know this, but it means we're old. You had also, before you became the Purple Community Fund, you were the Philippine Christian Foundation, and there was a school in Tondo as well. And I know you've helped a lot through people through education, and some of those children you've helped now are now gone to university. They've improved their lives, and really it's been an incredible process. So it's not just I think you said before, the people on the rubbish dumps, when you had the school, what was happening was that the parents were obviously going out picking from the rubbish sites, and their kids weren't going to school. And you found ingenious ways of encouraging the kids to go to school by giving food packages to the parents and everything else. So you haven't just been doing this overnight. You've been doing this for more than 20 years.
No, time flies. Yeah, you're right. And it's I think it's just so important that you spend time with your community. So, as you know, I don't really live in England. I live in the Philippines, and I'm just not able to get back at the moment. But I think you must always work with charities that really know the community that they work with. I mean, that's really important, because that just means you understand what the problems are, and that providing food incentives for education. Honestly, we still do that to this day, because food is the thing that children feel that they should be working, and the work they can get is way, way, way below minimum wage. So they're being exploited anyway. So we need to do everything we can to give them the resources to get their education, so they can go to university and they can be in work. And we have a high number of students that are in work, because of being able to go through the university program.
We have a couple more comments that I just wanted to read that were just flashed on the screen. I know there's a lot of interest in today's show, which is really good news. This is the one. Tekla and Dugol, I agree with your viewer. I'd like to add that education plays a big part in teaching the Filipinos about family planning as well as health and family management. We couldn't agree with you more. It's all about education, and people need to know where to go to get those resources and to get those tools. I used to live near a family, and the 5th child, 1-year-old, is being looked after by the eldest of 9-year-old. And the baby is in the arms of the 7-year-old. Mum is selling fruits in the market. That's really sad to hear, but that is the reality, isn't it? A lot of the time the children are at home and the parents are out working. What can you say about that? And has that got worse in lockdown?
Well, children are required to stay indoors if they're 21 years and below. So really, parents are in a very difficult position, aren't they? do they lock their children inside while they go out to try and sell a few things in the market? It puts them in a very difficult position. We have a childcare centre where families can drop children, and we can look after them during their time of work. But it tends to only be open to those who are single parents. But yes, I think as a rule, in the poorer communities, children do look after children. That is a sad reality of life. And the best, again, that we can do is to provide education for those families, so they know how to look after their children safely, and work with local governments to provide childcare. Because if a childcare centre where they can drop in, then it means that's when the parents can go off and earn their income.
And of course, I think it's about working together in a community as well, isn't it? It's almost like community babysitting. Like, there must be groups of parents who work together. And I know you believe in that a lot, about collaboration. This Upskills Foundation, I guess, is a collaboration of parents within the community, which I think is also very good. It's not as though it's just somebody pushing money or anything like that. I know you very much value the fact that parents are working to help each other.
Yeah, I mean, the camaraderie among the community, they all help each other out. So if there is childcare issues and children are looking after children, you can be very sure that a neighbour at some point will be dropping in and just making sure that everything is okay.
Yeah.
But we have just, I think it's around 120 community volunteers, and we couldn't run our work without them, because they evaluate how we're doing, they shape us. And they are the hands that make our work. And if the community don't believe in what you're doing, then it will never be supported. So I think having a high level of community involvement is something that we've always achieved. And I'm really, really grateful for the way that the parents have rallied around us during the pandemic, because we have had so many food packs, especially during the fire, because there were donations coming from the Philippines, and we physically did not have the manpower to be able to get them out. And the parents came forward and they helped with all of that distribution as well. So, they've been amazing. And yeah, the community do look after each other, but still, some children are still looking after children.
Yeah, no. So thank you very much. Just wanted to get a final few words from you. Maybe you could greet everyone watching and let people know how they can also donate as well.
Yeah, well, thank you everybody for watching, and thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had your Sunday lunch already. Yeah, there are lots of ways to help. If you're in the Philippines, then donations in kind. We have a vehicle that can pick them up. If you know anybody that you think might be interested in supporting our work, then please don't hesitate and contact them. And in the UK, one of the best ways to help us right now is to give a small amount of money every month. And the reason why I say that is we don't know. Every month we empty out our bank account so that we help as many people as we can. But if we knew that we had, say, £2 or £3 a month coming in every month from people, then we would be able to plan a lot better. And the delivery of our services would definitely be more efficient. So if any of you could commit to that, please go to our website. You can see a standing order form there, or just go to our website for our contact details and contact us, and we'll send you a standing order. And no, every penny is going to help. You're going to be heroes for these communities, and we need more heroes right now. So thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you so much, Jane. It's been absolutely awesome. And I know you can actually donate to an individual family, and that family would write to you as well. Whereas if you send money to a big charity, it gets lost in the CEO pay or whatever it may be, an office administration. And I know that every single penny that people would send to you can make a real difference to families' lives in the Philippines. I'd just like to say thank you so much, Jane. I'd like to say thank you to everybody watching. And of course, I'd like to give a special thanks to World Remit. Thank you so much for supporting this endeavor. And thank you so much for sponsoring us. Until we meet again next week on Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlon, I'd just like to say maraming salamat po, mabuhay Pilipinas.
Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa World Remit. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh, ha? Ay, lagot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from World Remit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Mas masaya at mas exciting ang Pasko with World Remit's TFCX Kapamilya Meetup. Just send money and get a chance to win an exclusive celebrity chat this November. Makipagchikahan, tawanan at kwentuhan with your favorite Kapamilya stars. May surprise guests and prizes pa na siguradong magpapangiti sa'yo. Sa regalong padala, may regalong kasiyahan. Visit the World Remit microsite for more details.